What's up YouTube? It's OG and today we are doing another episode of Keeping It 1K. So very excited. I know you guys love the series and today we're covering one of my favorite brawlers. He's one of the funnest brawlers in the game. He also has a very high skill cap. None other than Colt. Okay, so Colt I managed to get to 1K when I did that crazy push of 22,000 cups. Primarily pushed him in Siege just because there's a really good comp going around. I'll talk about it a bit later in the video. But yeah, man, Colt is just so much fun. He's a really high skill cap brawler. He's one of those brawlers where it's like really hit or miss though. If you're not hitting your shots, you're not gonna really be doing anything. So you definitely need to be good with him to be effective. It's not like some of the other brawlers where you can kind of auto aim spam. You know, I think good Colts are really hard to come by and they take a lot of skill. But yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so I had a fairly simple push with Colt. There weren't too many setbacks. I did most of it on the first day of my big push. I actually streamed a lot of it and we were having a lot of fun in Siege, hitting some good shots. You know, Colt's a brawler that I think you have to be in a mood to play with him to really enjoy him, and I was just in a Colt mood. So I got him to 900 on the first day of my push, and then you know, as the push dragged on, I wasn't expecting to get 22k. But when I 900 every brawler, I'm like, you know what, let's just do something that I actually enjoy playing. So I decided to get Colt to 1k, and you know, I think there was 2 losses or 1 loss from 900 to 1000. So it was pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You know, I played pretty much only Siege with him. But that's not to say that my Colt knowledge is limited just to Siege, because you know I have been playing Colt since literally the first day the game came out. Played him through every single meta. I played him multiple times, well, tons of times in every single game mode. So you know I know a good amount about Colt. So Colt's shooting mechanic is very high DPS. It's like a straight burst of probably 8 to 9 bullets. I don't know the exact number, but they do 420 each at max level, and you know it's really powerful if you can hit all those shots. With Colt though, it's a little different because it's not just a straight shot. Well, it is a straight shot, but if you want to be really effective, you have to stride to the left, to the right, you know, pick up on your enemy's movements and just kind of coordinate your shot with them. So it definitely takes some practice getting used to compared to a lot of other shots. It's comparable a little bit to Bo and to Leon, not as extreme as Bo, and you know, Leon's is a little different too, but it's the same idea. You gotta stride to the left or to the right, you know, typically if your enemy is trying to dodge. Alright, so Colt's super attack is pretty much the same concept as his attack. It's a straight line of a bunch of bullets. You don't want to be in the way of it, but his super attack has pierce ability, so it can go through multiple targets, including walls. It breaks walls, so it's really good in that sense in a lot of maps. And it has extra range, so you can actually full clip people and pretty much take them out depending if they're a lower HP brawler. You can't do that with his main attack obviously. And yeah, it's it's the same concept though. You got to stride to a side usually, just focus on the movements, try to full clip them. But it's a really fun super attack. I mean, there's not a better feeling in the game than full clipping someone with Colt super, I think. Okay, so for Colt's star power, it actually slightly increases his movement speed. Now, I think this often gets overlooked. I played on a non-max Colt the other day. I was like, wait, what's going on here? Why is he so slow? And then you don't really realize how vital his star power is, because obviously hitting your shots is important, but with a brawler like Colt, I think movement is equally, if not more important. So you always want to be focusing on your movement. And the extra speed boost is definitely a huge asset. So definitely get the star power if you can. Next up, we're covering his best modes. And for his best mode, I definitely have to go with Siege right now. I brought up a comp that's really toxic with Colt earlier. So the comp is actually Frank, Colt, and Pam. So what you really want to do is break all the walls so it's wide open. I'm talking on, I know Bot drops the open map, but the other 2 maps, Nuts and Bolts, and I forget the other one's name. But you know, there's a lot of walls, so we'll see Barley's, Leon's, stuff like that. So you want to open those maps up as soon as you can, because that enables the Pam to be effective. And Colt, Pam, and Frank, they just have so much offense and defense capabilities. So they're pretty beast when put together. Even on bot drop, the wide open one, Colt is definitely good there too. There just seems to be like Brock is a little more viable there than Colt, just because Brock tends to counter Colt too. So definitely try your Colt out in Siege. He's like so good at it right now. It's definitely his best mode. Okay, so excluding Siege, I'd have to call Colt a jack of all trades in the sense that he's kind of like in every mode pretty much, except for gem grab. He's not that good at gem grab. So I had a little trouble ranking him 2 to 5 because, you know, he's pretty balanced in them all. But historically speaking, it was definitely Heist, and I can see it like going back to Heist in the future, so I'm just kind of weighing that in a little bit. So for his second best mode, I have Heist. You know, wall breaking isn't as important as it used to be. That used to be a big asset for him. And then a lot of it's shifted towards Brock now and Pam instead of Colt. But that's not to say that you can't play Colt there. It just seems like competitively, Brock and Pam are definitely the way to go now instead of Colt. But, you know, just one buff or like one nerf away from being back in the meta, I think, for Heist. So for number 2, I have Heist. Next up, number 3, we have to go with Showdown and Duo Showdown. Primarily Duo Showdown because he just has that crazy DPS and can like take out like teams pretty much by himself, especially if you're hitting those supers. So Colt's always like really annoying for me to play against in Showdown when I do play Showdown. But yeah, you gotta watch out for Colts. Obviously, if you're Colt, you know, do as much work as you can and, you know, just carry. Alright, 4th best mode, we have Brawl Ball. So once upon a time, the meta in Brawl Ball was Shelly, Colt, and Mortis. We're obviously way past that, but you know, you can still get away with Colt in Brawl Ball. One of my buddies has 1K'd him a few times in it. He's a total beast at Colt. You guys probably know Johnny Boy. But yeah, he's still decent in Brawl Ball. It's just kind of tough with the meta right now because it's like all spawners and, you know, there's a decent amount of like places you can hide and walls now for the spawners to hide behind. So he's not as effective as he used to be. But that's not to say he's like completely useless. Like he still has his maps, Backyard Bull, Puddle Splash, you know, a few others just off the top of my head. But he can still be really effective. Colt is, like I said earlier, he's a brawler that's either really hit or miss. So he'll either like destroy the entire other team or, you know, you'll struggle to get a few supers. Number 5, we have Bounty. So you look at Colt, you know, decently long range, high DPS, you think he'd be like okay at Bounty, but that's not really the case because Bounty, we see Pipers, we see Brocks, we see Ricos, and all those brawlers like outrange him. And you know, every tile range is really significant in Bounty. It's a lot of long range poking. Obviously, we're seeing more like short range brawlers, so he can deal with those like a little better than the other ones, but you know, there's still a lot of like long range like Brocks and Pipers hanging around Bounties, so he always has a tough time against comps that are outrange him. So just because of that, I had to rank him number 5 in Bounty. Alright, and for Colt's worst mode, we have Gem Grab. Now, he used to be very meta in Gem Grab. Well, there was a point in the game where Colt was just, in my opinion, the best brawler. That spanned for about 3-4 months, and, you know, it was, like, insane. He had way more range, I think he was faster, and he was just, like, such a beast. So, he used to be meta in Gem Grab, but they've changed Gem Grab, like, completely around now. There's so many walls, so many bushes in the new maps. It's a lot like closer range. It used to be really like long lanes, but we don't really see that typically anymore. Everything's been condensed a lot. So just due to this, Colt's worst mode is definitely Gem Grab, in my opinion. So who does Colt counter? Now, a lot of his counters, I'm going to say, are very situational, and by that I mean it has to be under the right circumstances. Typically, if you're a Colt, you want like an open lane pretty much where you can just get a full clip off, you know, line your shots up. You don't have to worry about being too constricted with not enough places to move. So, you know, some examples would be like on Kaboom Canyon, it's really open on the sides. You know, Backyard Bull, there's a lot of open space. So if I had to choose one brawler that I think he actually counters, a matchup that I've always liked was Colt versus Jessie. Just because Colt can deal with her turret really well as long as she doesn't put it at like an awkward angle that he can't really reach. And, you know, they have the same range typically, and Jesse's a brawler that you want to keep your range with. But Colt has like way more DPS as long as they're just like not poking out around corners. So I definitely take Colt in that matchup any day. And he can also do fairly well against like tanks, you know, those mid-range brawlers that are kind of squishy, like Carl, Spike, like Poco. You know, it's just all situational, so it's hard to say he hard counters any of them, but he can definitely deal with them under the right circumstances. Who hard counters Colt? Definitely Piper. Piper, okay? Because, like I said, you want your open space with Colt, and you want that with Piper too. And Piper has way more range. So Piper, Brock, Rico in the right circumstances. Just basically, because Colt's not very tanky, you know, so you can get like 2-shot from a Piper, I think, 3-shot from a Brock. You know, Rico has crazy DPS too. So all the brawlers that can outrange him, he's going to have a tough time dealing with just because you have to get in range and, you know, they can kind of chip you down before you get in range. So definitely watch out for like, I was going to say Colt, Brock, Piper, and Rico. Alright guys, that's going to be it for the Colt video. I hope you like it. Let me know who you guys want me to 1K next, because obviously I still have to do Barley and Leon. But, you know, I'm always open to suggestions, so if there's anyone you guys really want me to 1K, just spam in the comments, and hopefully I'll get to him soon. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace!